Good afternoon, welcome to the latest edition of my video blog, aka The Vlog, from Andrew Aveley, the photographer. Today I'm going to share with you my complete workflow in Lightroom to create a panoramic image. I'm going to use a wildlife image, not the general landscape, but I'll show you my thinking process, not only just how the software works, but my thinking behind setting up a collection, cataloging it, marking it, and things like that. So let's get down to basics, and hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much. Hello guys, yes, let's get started on this tutorial. First things first, I'm using Lightroom CC, and I've already imported my images. The key to my workflow is to having everything compartmentalized. So the first thing I do is I create a collection. I call it panoramic images. As you're out in the field and you're shooting various scenes and stuff like that, sometimes your images get lost in your folders. So for me, I create a collection that I always know where I can find them. So I've created a landscape, people in urban environment, and wildlife. So today we're going to do a wildlife image. So I've got this scene. It's shot in landscape mode. I've got 8 images. So what we do is we use the shift key, we select them all, we right click on the image, we go to photo merge, and we click panorama. I always like to use the auto crop and the spherical selection. Let it create a panorama. Sometimes it takes a bit of time depending on the number of photos and the size of the files. While we're doing this, just a quick hint on shooting a panorama or panoramic image for wildlife. Things tend to happen very fast, so I shoot on a burst and I overlap the images by between 20 and 30%. I also manually focus on the subject. I also choose a manual setting for the whole scene with my exposure. If you're using back button focus, it's fine. You can focus on the subject, let go, and then pan through or slowly move through the scene. It helps create a nice image and a nice even flow. I did exactly this. There we go. Panorama's ready. So let's click merge. Very simple, very efficient. Lightroom's pretty quick with these. Creating panorama, it should take a couple of seconds. When we're creating these panoramas, it's always good. The reason I do a lot of panoramas is simply for the size and the printability of the pictures. I like to print things very large, sometimes 2, 3, 4 meters, and getting a lot of detailed information on the larger files by composing a panorama help me get detail in the images even at those sizes. This is shot in the Chobe River. It's a bunch of elephants crossing a river channel. Not a lot of swimming, but they gently moved across in a nice tight line, and I'm hoping that the image I created would give me a nice long narrow print. We'll edit it quickly while we're busy with this after the panorama has created itself. You would have noticed I didn't do any lens corrections or anything like that before the time. Some of the experts say you need to do a lens correction. I like to let Lightroom do what it does. I haven't had any major problems with the lens correction, but each to their own. This works for me, and it's a guideline. The workflow is very important. Taking a bit of time. There we go. So at the bottom here, you can see the panorama. For some reason, it's jumped to the middle. I always like moving it to the end of the files. Before I get to editing this image for you, very important. The most underused sort of facility with Lightroom is the stacking function. You've got a lot of photos in your library. You've just created a panorama with these 8 images. So why have these 8 images showing? So what we do is we click on the panorama. That will be our top image. We use the shift key, select all of the images, right click, go to stacking, and we say group in a stack. And there we go. All 9 images on top of each other. You can see it. And your real estate, as we like to call it, is pretty empty. So after I've done all these panoramas in my folder here that I've selected, I'll have 4 images instead of 40. You can still see over here in the collections that it shows 40 images. It was 39, but I've added the panorama now, so it goes to 40. Let's have a quick look at what I would do to edit this image. Just a basic, go to the develop module, use the tab key. I like to have this in my Lightroom very large, that I can have more sensitivity with the editing process, that the sliders are more sensitive. Shortcut key is R to crop. I know we've auto cropped this already in the panoramic mode, but I want to just level this up a little bit, get rid of some of the blue water here that's not there. So there we go, and it looks like it's a level horizon, so we click on R again to get rid of the crop. So this is a fairly simple image for me. Can do it in black and white, we can do it in just about any style, but from a color point of view, I have an easy and a standard workflow. I go highlights, a little bit of shadows, I go for the whites using the Alt key, there we go, pretty good, a little bit of hotspot. I go for the blacks, there we go, I like just a little bit of black underexposed area. Moving along, we can go to just a touch of clarity to bring some texture out in the elephant skin, vibrance, a little bit of saturation for the blues, go all the way down, detail. I have a standard for sharpening, for input sharpening. I go to 75, my radius all the way down to 0.5, and masking I use the Alt key again. So we are masking out as much as we can. I only want to have sharpening on the elephants themselves. Sharpening on the foreground and the ellies pretty good. There we go. Noise reduction, don't think I need any right now. We'll add a bit of color noise reduction. Smoothness, just to have a gentle blending of all the colors. Don't worry about lens profile for me on this. I like to add a little vignette just to draw the eye into the center of the frame. Go back to the top, and there we go. Click F, shortcut for full frame. Lovely detail on the elephant, lovely composition. What more can we want? Hope you enjoyed that. So remember, workflow, use a collection, use the spherical selection in making the panorama, and then at the end stack all the images together. I hope you found that useful. Until next time.